President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered Egypt's speech before the 76th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York on Tuesday. President el-Sisi praised efforts exerted by United Nations chief, adding that the world should confront coronavirus pandemic, highlighting that Africa is the most hit by the pandemic repercussions. The president also called for reducing loans of developing countries, stressing that Egypt continues its economic reform program. On the climate change file, the head of the state said that Egypt is aware of environment, pollution, hazards on humanity and climate change as well. Moving to the terrorism file, President Sisi said that terrorism still presents a big challenge globally, adding that we should set accountable the countries supporting terrorists. The president urged the international community to improve Palestinian life conditions as well as reaching comprehensive and just solution for the Palestinian cause. Speaking on the GERD file, President Sisi said that Egypt is very connected to African countries, asserting that Egyptian citizens worries of the Ethiopian dam developments, saying that Egypt had called on the United Nations to take its role in this file and urged rapid resuming of the talks. He also assured that Egypt respects human rights and public freedoms.
Right, welcome back. Also, during the 76th session of the UN General Assembly, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held a series of meetings with his counterparts from different countries, particularly when meeting with the Libyan Presidential Council or President of the Libyan Presidential Council, as well as his Iraqi and Jordanian counterparts and a number of other high-ranking officials. I guess we have with us Dr. Ahmed Abdel Halim to discuss the situation and highlight those meetings. Dr. Mohamed Abdel Halim, political analyst. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. And we're speaking here about the UN General Assembly's 76th session. Meetings or attending the meetings, the high-ranking meetings there, was Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry in person, where he met with a number of Arab officials. Speaking on how the Arab causes were dealt with during the UN General Assembly, how do you view this or these meetings as a platform to discuss such important files?
The fact, Mr. Sameh Shoukry's, explanation of the causes of the Egyptian presidential authority of achieving peace and security and settlement, actually, for all Arab territories, actually, would occupy pride of place among all the other subjects that are to be discussed concerning, for example, the Libyan cause, or the Libyan situation. Actually, there is a sort of insistence, actually, on the new election of the parliament and as much as of the ministerial cabinet in a democratic way, in such a way as actually to peace all the tussles and the disagreements among the Libyan tribes, actually, with the view of reaching at the end of the day for a consensus of opinion of establishing a new parliament, a new government, as much as a new elected or chosen leader or president for the Libyan country. This actually topic, would occupy pride of place, in addition to the fact that there is an insistence, actually, of distributing the Libyan fortunes, actually, among the Libyan citizens fairly, without the interference of any other foreign country to participate or share within the affairs of the internal side of Libya. Concerning Iraq, for example, actually, there is an insistence, actually, of reaching to an agreement in the meantime of pacifying the tussles and the struggles among the indigenous citizens, actually, with the view of reaching to, a sort of democratic, peaceful institution that would reach to.
Dr. Mohamed, before we move on with the aspect of Libya and Iraq, because here Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry spoke and highlighted the role that should be played by neighboring countries to Libya. And that was during the meetings of the countries of the neighboring countries in Libya in the New York or on the sidelines of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly. Here, Here, the foreign minister discussed the important and significant role that should be played by neighboring countries in trying to urge Libya or to push Libya towards the upcoming elections that will be held in December for Libya. How far or how significant is the role that should be played by neighboring countries? How far is it significant for the international community to push for Libyan parties altogether to carry out with those elections, plus ending the foreign intervention in the Libyan territories?
Right. I mean, as you rightly said, that there should be a sort of insistence and agreement among all the adjacent Arab countries that would participate actually in, dissolving all the tussles and struggles of reaching to an agreement, of reaching to a consensus of opinion, of achieving, a sort of internal regime as much as internal reign that would have to have its own final say at the end of the day. For example, I think that there is an insistence on the part of Tunisia, on Algeria, actually, and on all other Arab countries to reach to an establishment of the internal reign and the peaceful solutions and reaching to the final, elections that would pave the way for the, the peace and security as much as for safety for all for all the Libyan guys. This is at one side. At another, actually, I think that Mr. Sameh Shoukry is very much concerned with representing, the sort of the role that is to be practiced and the role that is to be established by the Egyptian presidential authority, particularly, those achievements and those progressive aspects and those initiative steps that had been integrated by His Own Excellency, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi, actually, of trying to pacify all the tussles and all the disagreements, not only of the Libyan territory, but actually of both Fatah and Hamas, and of reaching to a consensus of opinion, of reaching, to a two-state solution concerning the Palestinian territories, and of achieving sense of security and peace, actually, for all the adjacent countries. This is one aspect that I would really say occupy pride and place among all the other subjects that are to be discussed in the General Assembly of the UN Security Council.
Actually, there was this trilateral meeting that took place between Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and his Iraqi and Jordanian counterpart, where they discussed acting on a trilateral aspect or a trilateral cooperation mechanism. We all are aware of the different previous meetings. The latest was President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi himself in Baghdad. And this is to follow up with the cooperation mechanism put in the forefront of the Arab work. So how do you view the meeting or this trilateral summit that took place between the Egyptian, the Iraqi, and the Jordanian foreign ministers or top diplomats during or on the sidelines of the 76th session in Europe?
There is a great deal of care, actually, and enthusiastic strategic steps that had been integrated as well by the pre-mentioned three countries, Jordanian, as much as the Iraqi one, actually, of reaching to, in the meantime, an agreement to pacify all the disagreements and of trying to reproduce the oil pipelines actually to Jordan, in much the same way that there is, what you might call an agreement among the three countries had been precipitated by and represented and enthusiastically pushed along and by Mr. Fattah al-Sisi actually to,
Right.
a mutual partnership as much as strategic partnership and a sort of dependence actually for the Arab right and for the, Jordanian regime and the royal Jordanian regime. And I would say
Yes.
that had been, threatened. That's one conceivable respect. And I think that King Abdullah actually is very much aware of the sort of the strategic role that has been played.
Definitely. I guess
the presidential
that
authority that had been
the
played
three
by the presidential
leaders
authority, in Egypt actually.
of the countries are very much aware with the importance of such cooperation. We thank you, Dr. Mohamed Abdul Halim, political analyst, so much for being with us over the phone and for highlighting the situation. Moving on to another important matter, which was the Iranian nuclear fire, and that was tackled during the King of Saudi Arabia's statements during the UN General Assembly's meeting and his speech before the General Assembly. And definitely King Salman has spoken out for different Arab causes and the Saudis' vision towards different Arab matters, including the Iranian issue. And after that, Iran has issued a statement of its own regarding this. This report will show the response of Iran.
Iran said its talks with Saudi Arabia had led to serious progress on the issue of Gulf security. Speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, an Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman said the talks were good. He called for countries to settle regional issues between themselves without foreign interference. Iran and Saudi Arabia have been engaged in talks since April with the aim of improving relations for the first time since cutting ties in 2016. The discussions were launched under Iran's former moderate President Hassan Rouhani and have continued since his ultra-conservative successor Ibrahim Raisi took office in August. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, he said the talks were good and called for countries to settle regional issues between themselves without foreign interference. Saudi King Salman on Wednesday expressed hope that talks with Iran would lead to tangible outcomes to build trust and to relaunch bilateral cooperation. In a speech via video conference to the General Assembly, the Saudi ruler again called on Tehran to cease all types of support for armed groups in the region and reaffirmed his kingdom's support for international efforts aimed at preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
I guess that takes us to the end of our episode of Arab Affairs. Next Saturday would be another important Arab finds. Until then, it's goodbye.